death all over again, and feeling in that particular moment that I'd let a lot of people down who believed in me, who donated to me, who knocked on so many doors. I mean, so many people knocked on so many doors. I mean, it was just unimaginable. And so, it certainly took a couple of days, a couple of weeks, um, to first just get over the personal feeling of having lost something that you put, 2 years into. But then that secondary feeling of really feeling bad for all my supporters, because you want to win, obviously, for yourself, but public facing leaders, you get too much credit and too much blame. There's a bunch of people who do so many things that you really have nothing to do with, that you get to take credit for. But I know the truth, and I know like how hard Matt, who's now my chief of staff, and Eric, and so many other people, how hard they worked. And that was one of the first things I said to them, like, I'm sorry I didn't win for you.
You didn't let us down. We love you.
To be honest, it was a bit of a party like going on right before that. So I actually forgot that we had that conversation until like Tim showed it the reel back. I'm like, oh wow. And so but I remember the feelings. Yeah, I remember the feelings of before leading up to that. And there was a mixed feeling, I would say, of relief that like I got my husband back, from like people that were taking him for granted, people who were, as you saw, a lot of these overtures during the film was me trying to reclaim like his humanity and trying to like really sort of remind him of his whole self, not that he's some cog in this wheel or, this figure that people can poke at and whatever else they want to do in politics a lot of times. And so I felt relieved that like we could get back to like just, being in our everyday life again in some ways. But then I guess, to Malcolm's point too, it really felt like a missed opportunity in a lot of ways for people to, like they're saying now with this film, like see the person that I saw that is born for that job, like I just, it would have been great. But yeah, I mean, I think, as I noticed with, he always does, he doesn't let things sink in for very long. Like he pivots to the next thing, which I think Tim captured really well with him being a surrogate for our now senator, and really finding purpose in that, and also seeing that his work wasn't in vain. Like that wave that hit, the blue wave that hit throughout the Commonwealth was Malcolm's work. Like that was the fruit of his labor in a lot of ways, and I can say that. So I feel very much like it was gratifying to see all of that happen, even if it didn't happen for his own race.
Hunter, it's funny. I have this feeling when I'm watching the movie, the documentary. It's kind of that feeling I have when I watch every year It's a Wonderful Life. I keep hoping that Uncle Billy's not going to forget about the money. And that it's going to turn out somehow differently. I kind of got sucked into this, even though I'm part of the movie, and I know what's going to happen. Maybe he's going to win. What do you want audiences to come away from after watching this?
He should win. Like that would be the easy, quick answer. For me, it's hope. Hope is in short supply. Not even dangerously short, like our drought was and everything. Like we're being attacked as a community. Not only as queer people, but just our rights. And like you said, Al, I want them to have hope again. And Malcolm does that for us. And as we get more and more representation that represents all of us, maybe hope can be more, contagious. And that courage then could be the next thing. And we can use it as building blocks. So that's my hope for this film, is that everyone can see the real man that you are and the real couple that you are, and maybe the world will get just a tiny bit, little better, and then we can get a little bit better and a little bit better, and maybe we've done a little bit of change, and that's all we hope for as artists, right? Is to do something worthwhile. So that's my hope for the film.
And be remiss if I got you here, Malcolm, to ask what's next? I mean, you're obviously doing the work of, the state representative, but what are your plans?
Well, what's really exciting, it was mentioned, but I think it's important to underscore. We won back the State House for the first time in over a decade. And I have the real privilege to be the person to nominate my dear friend, and the first woman, the second African American, to be Speaker of the oldest contiguous legislative body in the country, Joanna McClinton, who is now Speaker of the Pennsylvania House, which is unimaginable. And I announced a couple of weeks ago that I'm running for Auditor General in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it feels very exciting because it's the one job that gets to spend every single day talking about a lot of the problems that I laid out and being able to get to the root of them. And as a legislator, you obviously have to work on the bills, but you have to do constituent service, you have to do, the events. There are all these other stuff that's not just making laws. As an auditor, your entire job is being like, actually, this person's not being treated fairly, this person's being screwed, this is not working right. And I think as folks have seen from the film, I'm not shy, I'm not quiet. And so we'll certainly be in a position, I think, to really address in a systematic way a lot of the challenges that have been so pronounced and so entrenched for too long, frankly.
Well, before we go, Tim, your final thoughts?
Before I forget, if you like the film, we would love to hear your thoughts on it, and you could tag us at KENYATTA Film on Instagram and Twitter. So before I forget that, we're also on Letterboxd. So if you do reviews on Letterboxd, give us a review. But yeah, I would like to echo Hunter's point. I think I hope that more people from the margins can become involved in politics, whether it's becoming an activist in their own community or running for office themselves. I hope that seeing Malcolm's story and seeing Dr. Matt's story and the story of North Philly, frankly, which I think is another, lead character of this film, I want to see, people call to action from this film, and so I hope that's what happens. But also, I just want people to see it, and that's kind of the first step is people seeing the film, and then hopefully they can take some lessons home with them. But so any help any of you can do to make that happen would be great. We have some other festivals coming up, but this has been amazing, and you've been a great audience, and it's been a pleasure.
I'm going to break the rules as I often do. I want to give my last word to you, Al, because you've been moderating us. I'm always, for our first Zoom, I asked you, why the heck, America's Uncle, somebody I've watched on TV forever, why were you, why were you interested in that?
Well, I just, I really do believe it's, not tilting at windmills, but I think that that people really do want action. I think they want a message. I think they want authenticity. And I don't think the person, what they, they're, like that woman said, I don't care what your sexuality is or what your orientation is or whatever. As long as you're working for me, and I think the fact that we've seen a much more diverse group get elected this year, in the midterm elections, both the governorships and state houses, and I think that speaks to, I think people, and I think it's on both sides of the aisle. I think people are tired of people yelling at each other and not talking with each other, and I think we're seeing, I think there's a pendulum. I think we swung one way, I think we're swinging back to another way where people want people to work together and get things done. And I think that's why it was important to show this and get this done. So, Dr. Matt, you have any final thoughts?
Well, yeah, I'm just really grateful for everyone who came out today to see this. This is like a homecoming of sorts, and I'm really grateful for all the people that put this together, and I also hope more people can see it as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And from Expedition's standpoint, Hunter?
I want to shout out Derek Helwig right up there. He's a huge reason why we got involved, and I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for him either. But on behalf of my team, it was a lot here.
Yeah.
I just want to thank all of you. Like, keep knocking on the doors, kicking down the barriers for all of us, because maybe there'll be more of us that do it. So thank you for us.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Lisa, who's here from Alberta Entertainment. Lisa Tucker, Tracy Brown, who can't be here tonight, and John Burke, our the guy with the camera right over here, who's from Los Angeles. And actually, the city tourism board pays him not to say he's from Los Angeles. Anyway, thank you so much. It's just been a real pleasure